Guys, welcome back to another episode of Quarantine Marketing. Man, am I excited to be here. I'm sorry I don't have my beautiful quarantine marketing background, and I'm kind of casual today. I'm located in my Boston office, and I got my business partner, Jonathan, with us today. And we're going to be talking about the art of copywriting. And the reason why both of us are on this conversation, and Jonathan's going to take the role because he's the guru of copywriting in our organization. But we're going to learn about the art of copywriting, and why I'm here is because copywriting has so much to do with sales as well, and I'm here to learn. So Jonathan, I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, I'm excited to have it too. As everyone knows, in our business organization that I love copywriting. Hope you're enjoying the Boston office location right now. How's the weather like over there?
It's the same as in Newton where you are, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Anywho, so yes, we're going to be discussing the art of copywriting. There's so much to be said, so much to be talked about. Where do you want to begin? That's my question.
Well, let's start off, let our listeners know, why did you get into copywriting? Why do you do copywriting? Let's start with that. You have your own accountability program, which a lot of people don't know about yet. I want you to share that with them today, and a little bit about what you do with your copywriters in your program. But why did you get into copywriting, and why do you love it so much?
Yeah, 100%. Really good question. When I first started, before we all became like an organization together, I didn't realize how important copy is and how much of it is needed to take the next step, which is where you take on those calls and you pretty much close them as a sale. Copywriting is important because it's words on a digital screen or paper that turns leads into customers or cold prospects into customers. And in order to really understand the art of copywriting, you actually have to understand your consumer in and out, as if you were that person that's looking to buy that product or service that is being sold via the internet, or I don't even think people do any advertising on like yellow books or anything like that anymore anyways. But so pretty much anything digital. That's how I got to the art of copywriting. I wasn't good at it at first. I am a lot better now. Still want to improve my game. There's still some things I can, do to be better, because there's always someone better than me. But that's really the main reason how I got into copywriting.
So talk to me a little bit about some of the steps when it comes to building either a long format copy or short copy format. By the way, Jonathan's going to talk about that tomorrow in our next segment, where he's going to talk about short and long copy and the difference between them two. But talk to me a little bit about what it is that you have to put into that copy for the reader to continuously stay tuned in, and you're gravitating them through the sale, through your copy, right? So educate me on that, man, because you do so much great for us in regards to getting us all these leads and putting me in front of people and putting me on a phone call, because I cannot write. I'm Russian. You don't want me writing. So what is it that you do, and what kind of advice can you give people that are trying to get into this space?
Yeah, 100%. It's a really good question. So there's so much in-depth conversation to this. So the first thing I will talk about is when you're writing copy, as I said before, you have to understand your consumer. You have to understand where they are right now in the sales process as well, too. Just like how you do your sales calls, once you get a lead from one of the ads that we're running, whether it's on Google, SEO, or social media marketing, that they're hot and ready to buy based off of how they applied. So you got to understand, is it someone who's never heard of you before? Is it someone who's heard of you before? Is it someone who's not have heard of you before, but have heard of your product or service before? And then, is this someone that's already in your email list that already knows, likes, and trusts you? Those are three different areas that people are in. And depending on which area that you're choosing to write the consumer for, you have to understand the problems, their pains, okay, what they're struggling with. And then you have to understand the goals, but you don't just stop at goals, right? Because they want to achieve something. And then you got to understand their desires. Once they achieve that, what's the true meaning of that for them? And then what are they hoping to get from your product or service? And then you also need to understand what are their opinions and beliefs, you know, their negative opinion and beliefs towards your industry, you know, for that product or service that you're offering. That's the first step. You have to really understand that. And there's a lot more detail that goes into it. You know, we could talk about that some other time. But once you understand that, that is literally the meat of your copy. Whether it's going to be for a Facebook ad, Instagram ad, YouTube, video sales letter, or a sales page that's, you know, that's going to turn a digital click into a customer. That's what you need to know. And then from there, you need to, that's the first step, right? Then the second step is you need to understand the category that they're in. Like I said before, is it someone who's cold, who's never heard of you before, and or have not heard of your product or service before, right? So if that's the person, if that's what you're doing, you're about to start, you know, Elon Musk is making microchips, and they're, you know, that's the new thing, right? He tweeted last night, you know, cell phones and smartwatches are a thing of the past. Now, people know who Elon Musk is, but if once he hires us as his copywriter, because Oceanus Digital is going to take him on as a client, right? But he's going to have to have a story format for people who don't know what this product is offering. They'll have a lot of questions and concerns. So before you write that copy, you have to not only know, you know, the problems, hopes, goals, desires, fears, but you got to also understand what are their concerns, what are their thoughts, you know, what if this microchip explodes in my brain? So you have to write a story format copy for that. Okay, so you can't just sell them something because you're not going to make the sale. Now, on the other hand, you know, 50 years from now, when microchips are a new thing, and Bill Gates, you know, or maybe Tim Cook at Apple decides to compete with with Elon Musk with the microchip. Well, this is something that's not new, but it's a new competitor. So now your copy, you can either go for a story format copy, or you can go for what I call the promotional lead. Like they already know what the product or service that you're selling is. They just don't necessarily know you yet, and then they don't necessarily know what's the difference between you and your product, right? And then there's people on your hot email list. They already know, love, like, and trust you. You go directly promotional lead. You don't even have to have a story. You need some testimonials in there, some credibility factors, and you're pretty much all set to go. There's more to it, obviously, but that's the general concept on how to write copy that converts. Okay.
So, as I'm hearing you talk, and I can't wait for your October segment where you're really going to talk about the art of storytelling as well, because a lot of that goes into copy. So I can't wait for that segment in October, guys. Just make sure you guys are tuning in. But a lot of it has to do with the psychology that goes into the copy, right? Talk a little bit about that. What is the psychology process, and what are some phrases and terms you're using that are so hot that gets that consumer to click into those buttons, that makes them continue to scroll through that long copy? Because long copies can be very intimidating sometimes. There's a lot to read through, but let's talk a little bit about the psychology of putting the right messaging into your copy.
Yeah, 100%. This is a really, really good question. So in addition to the work that you've done before, the research, again, everyone that's watching this, the most critical part, you have to do your research. That's the only reason why the copy will convert. So and Alex is right. I don't do regular basic 1 + 1 = 2 type of marketing. I do psychological marketing. And once you understand their consumer's mind, that's where you transition into conversational copy. Right? And here's where I position myself. So let's say I'm selling a microchip to Alex. Alex loves technology, you know? So I would talk the way, go ahead.
I have my drone coming in. I'm so excited.
So, okay, Alex's drone is coming in, right? Do you hear what Alex said? You have to talk in his lingo. What are the terms that he uses that come out of his mouth? I'm ready to do so many cool stuff on the rooftop. So in addition to the research, you understand their problems, pains, goals, desires, hopes, etc. You also need to understand what are the what are the words that they're using, the lingo, You know, what age demographic is it? You know, this is like surface level stuff, but it's just as important, because you want to put that into the copy or the video sales letter, which is the same thing, right? So now that I know the lingo that Alex uses, I'm going to talk to him as a friend. Like, Alex is obviously a family friend. So I would say, hey, what's up, Alex? Guess what? There's this really, really cool new drone that came out. And honestly, you could do so many cool things with it on the rooftop. And check it out. Here's what you can do with it. You know, whatever that is that he wants to do. Show his, you know, Maserati, you know, his Ghibli, his nice little place, you know, etc. Whatever it is that he wants to do, I would talk about it in that language. And that's for any product or service that you have out there. So not in addition to understand what the problems, pains are, what are the words that they use? And how do you find that? Well, you got to do research, right? And we'll probably do another segment on that and how to find the research online. But you go on Google, you go on these Facebook posts, LinkedIn posts, etc., and you look at the words, the terminology they're using, you copy and paste it, and you weave it into your sales letter or your video sales letter, your Facebook sales copy, right? So, because the thing is, you want that person to feel like they're familiar with you, as if you're already friends with them. The conversation starts already in the consumer's mind at what stage they are at. That's why it's important to know which stage are they cold? Are they cold, but they know your product or service but don't know you? Or do they know, like, and trust you and already on your email list? So you have to understand where they are at the sales process, and that's what makes it effective. And then that's where you can write those beautiful headlines like how to get an affordable drone so that way you could do cool stuff like with it on the rooftop. I don't know. Don't use that headline. Obviously, that's not the right headline, but you would use that as his lingo into the copy. Hope that answers the question.
It does. And there's so much intricate things that goes into copywriting. Clearly, it's the psychology piece. It's you're the fisherman out in the sea fishing for the fish, essentially, right? He's the best fisherman I know because we've been taking that fish out. I'm never hungry. I gotta tell you that much. But you know, the best part about it is, Jonathan, there's ways for people to learn from you, right? We don't really do lots of, sales and things like that on our podcast here, but I know you're giving out one day for people to kind of come in and join your copywriting class to kind of see what you're doing, tune in, learn a little bit from you, and really get that intricate look of what copywriting is all about. So tell me a little bit about your accountability program, the value you're bringing to people with that accountability program, and share some of the results.
100%. Yeah. So great question and statement. I'm actually going to be changing up the accountability program just a tad bit, where now we've had so much success, you know, from our students such as Denise, T, Diana, and we're actually going to be upping the price, actually. So it's not going to be the same thing. It's not going to be the simple $19.99. And for those of you that don't know, in addition to the Copywriters Program, Alex is actually on it as well too. And he strongly talks about how to sell in the new economy, especially during this COVID time. So that's why the price is going up, because already people have gotten success off of that already, just by him being there. So the Copywriter Accountability Program, I call it a gym membership. And just like Planet Fitness or LA Fitness, wherever gym that you go to, or maybe you don't, it's a program that removes the idea of motivation. You do need motivation, but my big quote that I created myself is, motivation can only last you for a short while. It is discipline that, you know, lasts a lifetime, right? And I'm actually thinking about getting that tattooed on my body, by the way, one day. But it's true. If you're not disciplined, if you're not waking up at 5:30 a.m. every morning like Alex says, you know, maybe you don't have to wake up at that time. If you have 2 jobs or 3 jobs, we have people in our group with 2 to 3 jobs. They have a set schedule where they say, I am determined, I am committed to making this happen today. Not even determination, sorry. I'm committed to accomplishing this task today. And what the task is about is, you got to do the research. What research do you have to do that day? You have to reach out to 3 to 5 people for that specific product or service you're selling towards that specific industry. Then you have to understand at what step of the selling cycle are they? Is it cold? Is it cold, but they know what your product or service is, they just don't know who you are? Or is it a hot list that already know, loves, and trust you. You know, is it your inner network or is it your outer network? Stuff along the lines of that, right? Of that nature, which is very important. And then we meet weekly and we discuss, you know, how can we turn, how to turn your website into a systematic system that attracts new consumers, and they fill out an application form to want to work with you, and making sure that they meet your qualifications, so that way you can actually get paid what you're worth, you know, for your product or service. So that way you can we can fund more money towards other things that your heart desires, you know, whether it's a new house or, you know, advertise other things off of your business, whatever that is. That's the entire goal or idea or methodology behind the Copywriters program. And again, it's more than just copywriting. You know, it's psychological marketing and sales in the new economy. Because in 2020, you know, clearly with 2020 vision, things have shifted rather quickly. So,
guys, just so you know, the program that JJ is asking you to jump on and learn a little bit from him. He's giving you a free opportunity to join in on September 28th with him, and he's going to teach you a little bit about copywriting and the art, a little bit more in depth about the art of copywriting with some of his students, and you'll see a little bit about the accountability program. It's all below. Just click the link below. There's a Calendly, and it's an opportunity for you guys to go right in there and book this meeting. So just please click the link below. It's free. What do you got to lose? It's your education we're giving you. Just join it. But besides that, Jonathan, this was awesome. And I know that there's so much that goes into copywriting, from the psychology perspective, from prospecting. And also the biggest thing, you know, we're talking a little bit about sales in regards to copy. It's also the value that you're providing to your consumer. There's a lot that goes into copy that provides people with a lot of value and learning material and education and information that they need to know on a day-to-day basis. It's not all about selling sometimes. Copy comes in so many different fashions. And, you know, with this accountability program, I know his students were able to learn all those varieties and all those different fashions, and still are learning every single day. This accountability program is not just for your students, but for you as well. You know, you're learning from your students every day. You know, we want to be surrounded by people that are continuously educating one another. But guys, Jonathan, it was awesome conversation today, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, like Alex said, there's so much more inside the program. Like, we also understand, like, we talk about KPIs, your key performance indicators. How do you know when your copy is doing well and when it's not? Because sometimes you have to, you know, optimize that stuff. That's a conversation for another day. Again, join us September 28th and just check it out for free. You know, we're giving 1 day away for free. Check it out. If you like it, that's great. Join. If not, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's a big mistake. It's the best program on earth. So
it's up to you guys. It's clearly, guys, up to you to join in. But it's one of the best programs there. So make sure you join in. And Jonathan, you're not joining me. You took over the studio today in Newton. I'm in Boston, as you guys can see. Clearly, I'm a Lakers fan, right? But clearly you guys can see that. But besides that, guys, make sure you join in tomorrow, especially because Jonathan's also going to talk about the difference between short and long copy. So you guys are going to get 2 versions of copywriting in 1 week, as well as a free program next week. Make sure you stay in, subscribe below, follow us on our channels. I love you all. Bye.